You're listening to the Well-Led Podcast. I'm your host, Kate Johnson, and this is a lesson for effectiveness for leading well with creativity. In recent weeks, we've explored both what leadership creativity is and how to both practice and support it. I've landed on defining it as an expression of critical thinking that makes way for the best ideas. Our Other Voices contributors shared a wealth of insights, including creative leadership begins with self-trust. Leaders who understand their values and purpose are better able to discern which ideas deserve attention. Self-awareness is essential because creativity flourishes under different conditions for different people. And failure and creativity are inseparable companions. Experimentation is only possible when people are free to discover what does and does not work. Today, in this lesson for effectiveness, I have promised to provide you with a small menu of specific activities for developing creativity. I've identified 3 that I've both used as a facilitator and participated in myself. I believe each offers a fresh and valuable way to approach creativity and critical thinking. Number 1, put yourself in the picture. Grab a magazine, a picture book, or even an internet browser. Anything that gives you access to pictures. These can be photographs, drawings, paintings, anything will do. When I've used this exercise in the past, I favored images of imaginary or unlikely spaces as a way to help participants stretch and disconnect from the everyday. Really, though, all you need is a picture of someplace that is not where you are now. When you've selected an image, you will focus your attention on it for 5 minutes. Go ahead and set a timer to help you mark the time. Don't rely on a vague feeling of how long it's been, or let yourself get distracted by constantly checking the time. During this 5-minute block, you will imagine yourself in the picture as an active participant with your surroundings. Tell yourself the story of that place or time, being as specific and vivid as possible. You can make notes if it helps, or simply close your eyes and daydream. The goal is to allow yourself a moment of pure imagination that doesn't have a direct or immediate application. This isn't like thinking about the dinner menu or trying to reinvent a workflow. While both of those tap into your creativity, they are also constrained by reality and practical demands. This exercise, putting yourself in the picture, is about creativity for creativity's sake. Number 2, conduct a pre-mortem or other method of corporate time travel. I first encountered the pre-mortem technique about 5 or 6 years ago, but it gained mainstream attention in 2007 in a Harvard Business Review article by the cognitive psychologist Gary Klein, who based his work on an earlier study of prospective hindsight. In other words, we have the ability to imagine possible futures and identify problems or pitfalls, and to apply what we discover to help prevent failure. In a pre-mortem, participants are asked to imagine that an upcoming event, like a product launch, for example, has already occurred and failed. The failure of the event or project is key here. You're given time to imagine and brainstorm everything that contributed to this failure. Once a person or team has identified what could go wrong, they can turn their attention to ways to address or mitigate each of these issues. There are other activities that allow for what I call corporate time travel. A popular one I've encountered and used myself involves imagining you have traveled into the future, say 10 years, and find a newspaper or a magazine headline that proclaims the wild success of your project or company. This exercise has you writing the headlines and other details to name what significant achievements and milestones your team was able to accomplish. These outputs then become the groundwork for action plans and the like. What I like best about the pre-mortem approach is that it relies on creativity to build foresight and to strengthen planning capability. Number 3, change your hat to change your mind. This is an approach created by Edward de Bono, first shared in his 1985 book, Six Thinking Hats. It is a method of parallel thinking focused on problem solving and decision making. The hats provide a framework for discussion that revolves around intentional, guided perspective taking. The six hats, each a separate color, carry a specific perspective or mindset, giving a role to the wearer. I've seen six hat kits that teams can use to give the exercise a physical prop. I've made buttons for use in this activity, and it's always possible to simply assign a color by name. No props needed. The hat's colors and roles are as follows. White focuses on neutral, objective facts, data, and information currently available or needed. Red expresses feelings, gut reactions, intuition, and emotions without needing to explain or justify them. Black spotlights caution, risks, potential problems, and logical flaws, acting as a careful critic. Yellow highlights optimism, logical benefits, feasibility, and the value in new ideas. Green encourages creativity, alternative solutions, growth, and out-of-the-box brainstorming. And last, blue, which manages the thinking process itself, organizing the agenda, setting focus, and summarizing outcomes. You don't need a large group for this. You can do a solo version of the exercise by working through the six colors on your own. This methodology gives you just enough structure to set bounds on how you approach a situation or problem, but not so much that you find yourself stifled. We are, in essence, talking about the thought work that goes into effective choice making. And so I want to wrap up with a few companion techniques, ways for objectively evaluating the quality of one's own choices over time. One of the easiest ways to approach this is to ask for another person's opinion. You can invite your manager, a trusted colleague, or even a family member to share their observations and thoughts about how effectively you make choices and how impactful those choices are. As is always the case with requesting feedback, remember to set your ego to one side and thank the other person for sharing their thoughts. Alternatively, you can complete an audit of your current state through the lens of the choices you've made. Ask yourself questions like, given what I know now, would I make the same decisions about blank? Fill in this blank with things like work, where I live, how much I exercise, or any other relevant aspect of your life. You're not attempting to build a record of regrets, though. This is a semi-objective review of choices, consequences, and, most importantly, what you've learned along the way. This last is likely the most time-intensive option. Begin a journaling practice, coupled with regular reflection. During and after moments of decision-making, record what you're thinking, what considerations are involved in your choices, and other matters associated with both your process and experience. Couple this with quarterly or semi-annual review of what you've captured to assess your choice making. And what to do with this data? I believe the best way to manage the information you're collecting is to seek out a mentor to help guide you. Identify someone who has demonstrated the ability to step into new or challenging circumstances and provide insight and decisions that stand the test of time. Someone who has a reputation for creative problem solving or innovation, as well as a willingness to encourage the same in others. In this mentorship, use the relationship to review or debrief the data you uncover about yourself and also work through new challenges as they arise. Both of these will allow you to build your ability to imagine and choose the right solution, the best choice. The techniques we've reviewed today, both for stretching and growing your creative muscle and for assessing your choice making, all reflect a leadership approach that is rational, reasonable, and empathetic. There is logic built into each, as well as application to specific needs or goals, and perhaps most importantly, a thread of creating a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. Leadership creativity that is effective weaves these three strands together. Rather than relying too heavily on novelty for its own sake or the critical aspect of critical thinking, this is creativity that lets you choose grace while displaying intelligence and feeling. Next week, the Well-Led podcast is on a short break, but we will publish a replay of Clarity, the Mother Skill. Consider it a refresher and a way to stay grounded in the work of human leadership. Later this season, we'll explore the role and importance of safety in the workplace. If this episode was useful, you can support the show by following or subscribing on your preferred podcast platform, or by sharing it with someone who's navigating similar leadership challenges. The latest companion toolkit is now available, and if you want updates on episodes, resources, and upcoming offerings from 123 Limited, check the show notes for a link to subscribe and request your copy. Thanks again for listening.